Happy Friday, North Texas. I'm Scott.
And I'm Christiana.
And I'm Alicia.
Today is Friday, October 17th, and we've got more co-hosts than we know what to do with. Welcome back, Alicia.
It's homecoming week at UNT Scoodle. It feels so good to be back in the podcast studio with a special announcement for our listeners.
Well, that's a fun tease, but first, let's check in with Zach Babb for the homecoming edition of the Mean Green Minute.
Soccer is back in action this coming Sunday after a week off. They drew 1-1 with Tulsa last Sunday. This Sunday the 19th, they'll play host to Rice at 1 p.m. Volleyball has now won back-to-back matches after a 3-1 victory over UTSA last Wednesday and a 3-2 win over Tulane last Friday. They now play a pair of games this weekend. The first one's at home. It's against East Carolina on Friday at 6 p.m. Then they hit the road to face Memphis on Sunday. That's a 1 p.m. start there. And football looks to bounce back from their first loss of the season when they take on UTSA. The rivalry game is at home at DATQ Stadium this Saturday. It's a 2:30 p.m. kickoff. If you can't make it to the game, you can watch it on ESPN Plus or listen to the call, starting with the pregame show with Hank Dickinson and Dave Barnett at 1:30 on 1190 a.m. in DFW or on the free Varsity Network app.
Big thanks to Zach for that reporting. That was a tough game against South Florida, but that was so awesome to see all that mean green spirit in a sold-out DATQ Stadium. Hopefully we'll get another big crowd tomorrow to cheer the team back into the win column. The 6th win would qualify the Mean Green for a bowl game, so it'd be extra special to do that at homecoming. Alicia, you mentioned some big news for the listeners. Let's go ahead and get to that.
To all of our loyal listeners, you'll remember hearing about my UNT love story back in February. That was episode 19 if you haven't heard it. We've been doing the long distance thing for a couple years now, and we're taking the next step, so I'm packing up my silly little things and I'm heading out east to Virginia. I'm really going to miss my Mean Green family, but I'm excited for this new adventure. Scotty, are you all right?
Yeah, well, it's called Homecoming Week, Alicia, not Home Leaving Week.
Yes, the irony is not lost on me. But speaking of homecoming, Christiana, I understand your interview is very on theme this week.
First, I have to say we're all going to miss you so much around here, Alicia, but we're excited for you and completely not jealous of that cooler weather you're going to get to enjoy. Getting back to business, Homecoming Week is full of traditions, and one of the absolute greatest is the bonfire. If you've driven by DATQ Stadium the last few weeks, you might have noticed a gigantic pile of pallets building up, and if you drove by last night, you definitely noticed it. Every year, the bonfire is built by the Talons, UNT's student spirit organization. I sat down with a few members of the Talons to talk about what it's like to work on the largest handmade pallet bonfire in the country and what the tradition means to them. And if you're wondering who T-Fry is that the Talons mentioned in this interview, that's our own Tracy Fryer, Assistant Director of Spirit and Traditions and Talons Advisor. Enjoy! If you could just tell me your name, of course, your year and your program, and also your role in the Talons. We'll start from the left and go to the right.
My name is Kiana Chavez. I am a technical theater major, and I am Vice President of External Relations in Talons.
My name is Kayla Ledesma. I am the Public Relations Chair of Talons, and I'm in my 3rd year in Talons.
My name is Camden Silva. I am in my 5th year in Talons, and I am one of the bonfire heads.
My name is Ivan Huerta. I'm a psychology major. This is my 5th year in Talons, and I am also the other bonfire head.
Awesome. Well, it's so great to meet you. Thank you so much for coming out. We're really excited for homecoming coming up soon, and we just want to talk about the bonfire, of course. So let's go talk about the tradition and the history. So for listeners who might not know, or maybe first-year students that have never even heard of a bonfire, can you share what the homecoming bonfire tradition is and why it's so special to UNT?
So UNT, the Homecoming Bonfire, has been entrusted with Talons since the 1960s. So, we've kind of been bringing unity since then to the university, and it really brings, not only the students, the alumni, and even the Denton community together, but also, the football team and everybody like that, bringing everybody to one place to watch this, bonfire burn down. And it's one of the biggest traditions we have at UNT. And yeah, I love how it just brings everybody together as one.
I would just say that I just really enjoy like the whole week leading up to Bonfire. We're in charge of obviously building it, so it's just a lot that happens. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's just a great way for like Talons as one, like to come together as one and kind of focus on doing this thing all together.
Right. It's great. So, yeah, like you said, Talents have been entrusted with this tradition for a long, long time. So how does it feel to carry on something like that with so much history? And then also maybe in two-part, like what makes our bonfires stand out against maybe other university traditions that you might know about?
No, yeah, so it definitely is a huge sense of accomplishment being able to look back at what people have done in the past and, continue on with their legacy, kind of pave our names in the same path that they were on. I for me, at least, I always have a great sense of accomplishment once we finish, towards the end of the week, especially, being a torchbearer myself. Multiple times, it's just a huge sense of accomplishment. Just wow, like we did that, and it's nice to see alumni come out and they sort of look on and be like, wow, that was once me, and now future generations are taking over and continuing on with that tradition.
Right. And you call your torch bearer,
yes.
So you actually physically go up there and light it. That's so cool. That's awesome. Have you heard of other traditions around us, maybe TWU or Texas Tech or somebody, do you know any of their traditions and how maybe we stand out a little bit better?
I know we do stand out because we do build the nation's largest handmade pallet bonfire.
Awesome. So that's great. All right, so let's talking about the build process. So walk us through what it takes to build the bonfire, from the actual planning it, because you can't just start, you have to have a plan obviously, and then to lighting it up. Can you walk us through that process?
Planning, that is the big thing that when it comes to something of this size. Myself and Camden, we started planning for this back in the summer. In the summers where we would actually contact pallet donors, both previous ones that we worked with in the past and also new donors that might have reached out to us, or Camden or myself reached out to them just to see if they were willing to donate. But so we started in the summer reaching out, making sure that we actually have pallets to build the bonfire.
Right.
Some other small details here and there got touched up on in the summer. We really don't start planning until the semester starts. That's kind of where we get into the nitty-gritty of things. That's where we got to start planning out what each day is going to look like.
Right.
We got to get this approved with a lot of people, with the university, risk management, the PD, just to name a couple.
Right.
I'm sure there's way more that I'm forgetting to name right now. And then, internally, we have to work with them to get things, work with the exec board, work with T-Fry, get things approved with them.
Right.
Set up our committee. I'm kind of just rambling at this point. But,
do you get volunteers as well? Is it all Talons doing this, or do you ask some from the community members, hey, do you want to help during the week, or how does that work?
It's always just been Talons. It's funny because sometimes we do go out in the U-Hauls and there's people that are looking for jobs and we're like, we don't pay. You can volunteer, but I feel like there's so much preparation that goes into it, and even like Ivan was mentioning, it's so rewarding to be able to do this. But again, it's all with the preparation. It's all in advance, having to have everything prepped and planned and done beforehand. Because I've talked to so many people that they're like, oh, y'all get a month to build it. Y'all have a lot of time. Y'all get machines and stuff. And we're like, no, we do this all by hand. Yeah. We have hand saws, we have hammers, nail. That's basically it. We do this all by hand. And people get shocked. They're like, oh, I thought y'all had so much more time. I thought y'all had machines to do this, and no, that's what makes it 10 times
things
better.
Up there, right?
Yes, we're just launching them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But that's just what makes it so much better.
Yeah, it's pride of the workmanship that you put into it. Yeah. So you mentioned the pallets. So how many pallets go into the structure typically? And you mentioned you get donors. Are some of those donors alumni that own businesses, or just community members that just want to contribute?
A bit of both. I know that this year we have had a couple of alumni that are affiliated with other companies. They've actually reached out to us and we're like, hey, we have X amount of pallets. Would y'all be willing to accept these since I was an alum?
Right.
I know that y'all use pallets. We have all these pallets. Y'all are more than welcome to take them.
That's great.
And then we've also worked with people in the past, and, we've established that connection with them. So they're like, hey, I know y'all worked with us last year. Just letting y'all know we have those pallets again for this year. As far as it comes to how many we use, I couldn't give you an exact number. I just know that it's a lot.
It's several hundred probably.
Quite
right?
a few, yeah. It takes a lot to build this, so I really could not give an exact number.
Probably stop counting after the 50th one,
Yeah,
right?
we can tell you it is like a 40-foot by 40-foot square,
Okay.
and it does go up in like 4 different tiers,
Okay.
about like 55 pallets high in total.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah,
and we make
700.
it smaller as going up
Yeah.
due to the structure and how it burns. We don't want it to fall on the outside. It falls and burns inside.
Right.
So
Right. Oh, that's great.
yeah.
So what do you think the hardest part is about building the bonfire? Maybe the physical and maybe the mental too, because I know you all are there for a long time, watching over it too. So what? Yeah, go ahead.
I would say, the hardest part is being there 24/7 for, 8 and 9 days straight, and just, making sure, it's getting done and we're being productive from loading those U-Hauls up and then taking them down to site, unloading and, organizing them. We do organize all the pallets by size, and then we do fix the pallets that need to be fixed because, like Ivan said, we get pallets from all over, and, there's some that's like perfect condition, and then there's some that, they need some help for us to walk on because we build it from the ground up. Right. We do have to walk, on every layer, make sure it's stable and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
So you're doing some repairs and stuff too.
Yep.
Yeah, gotcha. Do y'all have any rituals or traditions? I'm sure throughout the years you maybe do something fun. And if you don't want to talk about it, if it's secret, that's okay. But do you have anything fun that you do during the build process or the whole week?
Yeah, I would say we have our Unity heads that put on like events throughout the night, because obviously at night we're not going to be building unless we absolutely need to.
Right.
But they put on events like for us to do while we're watching the bonfire. So one of my favorite ones has been like karaoke that we've done.
Oh, nice.
My favorite one that's just kind of been a tradition through the years is like we decorate our hard hats. So we put like
okay.
stickers. We've like done hydro dipping on those. But that's just like a fun like kind of like team bonding things that we do throughout the night, because it's like we're all stressed, we're all tired from the day. Like we just want to like relax, like do things together.
Right.
Again, just like trust bonding exercises basically.
Yeah, and you're still having to go to class,
Yeah.
obviously, through this week, so you have that on top of
Yeah.
everything. So, yeah, that's great. So, just personal experience, and maybe I could hear from each one of you on this. What made you want to become a Talon and take part in traditions like this? What made you want to sign up?
I first joined Talons because I ran flags in high school, and I found out the people who did that. And then once I joined Talons, they're like, "Hey, we have this 1931 car that you're able to drive." And I was like, "That's a cool car. I want to
Yeah.
stick with that car."
Yeah.
So that's the main reason why I've been joining Talons.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, mine's actually the same reason. I came to my orientation and I saw the Mean Green Machine out, and I wanted to just kind of get involved in that. I was really curious. And then I just found out all of the other traditions that Talons has, like the cannon, the spirit flags, holding birth, like running across like the field with the flags. Like
Yeah,
it's just so many rewarding traditions, and I was like, I want to be a part of that. Like I want to do that.
that's awesome. Great. How about you?
very same, situations. I did join because I saw the flag running during the football games, and I joined in fall 21, and, I'm a senior now, and so I kind of had some time to, dip my toes in each and every tradition, going from running flags to actually driving the Mean Green Machine, and then being a part of the exec board, being the public relations chair, and then now being bonfire head. It's just been an amazing experience being in Talons throughout those years, and I'm ready to, become an alumni and be that proud alumni saying that I helped do all this stuff.
Right, pass the torch.
Yes. Yeah.
No pun intended. How about you?
You'll never believe this one, but I also joined because of flags and the car as well.
That's awesome.
Those were two things that really drew me to the org. As a freshman, I really didn't know what bonfire was, so that when I got thrown into my first one, I was like, whoa, what am I doing? I'm all over the place. But once I got a feel for it that first year, every one after that, I was like, okay, I'm so ready for this. That's kind of what drew me to stay so long, and that drew me to join this position with Camden. I think that we're both qualified. I think that we're both ready to tackle this.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, You mentioned like what the bonfire means to the UNT community, but maybe beyond just a big event, can you kind of talk about maybe what it means further than that, like what it means to our traditions, our alumni, things like that? Maybe not just the bonfire, maybe all the traditions too. Like you've all been a part of the different ones. So what kind of meaning or the pride that do you think that brings the community?
I think it's kind of hard to say that that everybody knows all the traditions that is happening at UNT, because UNT has like a lot of traditions, and a lot of those are upkept by Talons, and we do everything for the university. It's like we rarely do stuff like for ourselves. We do it like for university, for athletics, and so there is just a lot to advertise, but it is nice knowing that we do all those huge traditions, and in terms of like how it affects other people, I just like to think that they are just glad, it's happening and still being upkept. Like the alumni, they know that this stuff is still being taken on and like done every year. And, we have a process of things like how to do every tradition. And so like kind of going to those football games, hearing the cannon every time and seeing the car out there and the flag running and seeing it still done by Talons today, I think is heartwarming to not only, Talons alumni because they did all those things, but also UNT alumni. Those game day traditions are still there, going back to the games as an alumni. So it's like you still feel that cannon deep down, when we score those touchdowns, and our team is doing really good right now, so you hear that pretty frequently. Yeah.
And obviously too, just I'm not an alumni or anything, but just the pride that you have when you hear those things. And I work here and I'm starting school here, but I'm like, oh, that's our thing, and seeing especially at the bonfire, the look on people's faces and just the amazement. I'm sure that's really rewarding for you. Kind of going back to your personal experience, you talked about one of the hardest parts being you have to be there 24/7 during that week and balance things and kind of the exhaustion that you experience. And we talked a little bit about schoolwork. So how do you balance that with classes? Like, are your professors? I mean, obviously you're taking shifts and things. So are your professors really understanding about this, or how do you handle all that?
That's kind of like a 50-50. Either we tell our Talons like don't skip class. Like class is important. That's why you're here at UNT is to study. So
you're paying for it, right?
Study, yeah. Bonfire comes second. But like it's like, hey, if you have the time, come out and help build. So between class and then building and then even night watch, like it's hard, but you do it together.
Right. Yeah. A lot of studying going on at night time, like on laptops.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely a balance. Yeah, it's finding that balance of when do I need to get what done.
Right.
We have a saying in Talons, we learn and earn before we do. The Talons,
I love that. That's great. So going back to reactions from the bonfire, so for people that are seeing the bonfire for the first time, have you ever kind of taken a look at, what kind of reactions you're getting from that first time, those people that are there for the first time, maybe with their kids too, and the reactions, like what do you take from that?
I feel like it can be kind of difficult because I know my first bonfire, the bonfire was on the opposite side of the pond, so we didn't really get to see that much of like the people.
Oh, right.
We mostly now that it's on this side, we get to see more reactions, so even like seeing the people like against the barriers and then us on this side with the alumni, like it just feels so like to us seeing each other's reactions, like seeing how rewarding it was for like each other. I feel like that also just warms your heart too, because you're just like, we did this, like we were able to experience this together and finish this together.
Right.
And then even the alumni that help out like to light the torches to get us prepared for lighting the bonfire, like even seeing them, like if they were past torchbearers, them being so proud of us and them telling us like, you got this, like you did it, you did all this work for this really moment, like it just feels so rewarding.
That's awesome. Anybody else?
I like how she said, it warms our heart, because that's the reaction that I get from a lot of new people standing against the gates or whatever. Like the heat is getting to them. Like you can feel it from all the way back there. Like, oh my gosh, this thing is hot, and it's like so huge, and people can see it from the highway, and hopefully they're paying attention to the road. But yeah.
Yeah, I find it funny sometimes. You go on social media and they're like, why is there a fire? Like they don't know what it is. They're like, why is there a huge fire? So that's funny. As far as so we talked about the build and the week, and lighting it. So the cleanup, obviously, you just don't say, okay, we're done, bye. So what do you do after? What's that cleanup process look like for you?
Yeah, for sure. After we light it, we go out and have our family dinners. So within the org, we have bigs and littles, and that kind of dictates what families we're put into.
Okay.
Families will go out and do dinner. Usually we have someone that we trust, stay behind and watch it while it's burning.
Yeah.
After dinners, we come back and we have what is called burn watch. This is where we watch the fire pretty much throughout the night until there's nothing, until it stops burning.
Right.
So that's kind of the process that we have for that until at least it's done burning. And then after that, that's when Camden and I will start having nail pickups. And this is where we'll set up shifts for people to come in, and we'll just run, I'm not sure what those machines are called. Yeah.
Magnet brooms.
Magnet
Oh,
rollers.
okay. So they actually. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
So
so-
you don't have to do it hand by hand.
Right, for
Or
sure.
One by one. That's good.
That's sort of the cleanup process. I mean, pretty much everything, gets burned. The only thing that's left behind is those nails.
Right.
So it's just a matter of being able to pick up as many nails as we can.
Right. Okay. You might have to maybe rake some embers
Yeah.
or something
Mhm.
like that. Yeah. Okay.
And we take those to a local recycling plant, and
Oh, nice.
so we donate those nails.
Awesome. That's great. So you mentioned, I'm curious, the big and the littles in the dinner. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is that like like the freshman Talons coming in, or the first year Talons, like you mentor them almost? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a really big mentorship process. So my little's actually Kiki.
Aw.
So it's crazy to see her now in an executive position with me. It's just another thing where her first year was last year. During the bonfire was her first semester, and so just being able to mentor her through that process and being oh yeah, this is how we did this during the bonfire, and just being that other little voice. Obviously there's the bonfire heads that kind of tell everybody hey, this is what we got to do.
Right.
But it's she knows that if she has other questions, she can come to me and I can just kind of help her and guide her through that process. So I'm taking on another little this semester, so it's really exciting to see your littles go through this process. And I was once in that position where I was I don't even know if I want to join this org. But now I'm in an executive position, doing so much.
Yeah.
So it's just exciting to lead somebody in that and direct them in that path towards all of this.
Right. Right. That's awesome. And what do you feel as kind of going up at her as a mentor, and then you eventually will have probably a mentee, how do you feel that progression has changed you?
Obviously Kayla's done a great job considering where I am.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, yeah, Kayla was a really big help in my fall semester navigating both, because we were both working with the car together as well my first semester. So she got to help me out there, and then during bonfire, I was I don't know what I'm doing, so I kind of always found Kayla if I could, and she was yeah, we just do this and do that. But yeah, having her as a mentor was so great that I was you know what, I think I'm ready to be a mentor now, so I'm actually taking a little this semester.
That's awesome. That's great. How about you? As far as the big and littles, how's that helped you?
Yeah, so I love mentoring people. I have 3 littles myself that, have come and go. And just being how long I've been in this program, I've seen all of the, people leaving and people coming. And I love mentoring even if they're not my little, just kind of being there as somebody that, people can talk to and, ask questions about, the traditions and, with my experience and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it's a perfect program that, what we're doing, and making sure everybody knows and and they're not left behind. So it's very again a good process that we're doing.
Yeah. How about you, Ivy?
I never found my little, unfortunately, but I do look up to my big a lot. He was the previous bonfire head, so he's been a huge help when it comes to whatever questions I have about this year's bonfire. I also have a twin. My big got myself and my twin Jackson. We rushed the same year, so we've kind of built a really strong connection, the 3 of us, just with our upbringing. So it's definitely a really heartwarming process, It's nice to go from not really knowing these people to now I couldn't see them not being in my life, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it's just a very, very heartwarming, very, very welcoming process for sure.
Yeah, and you kind of, my next question was, the friendships that you form. Obviously, you're with each other a lot. You're doing a lot of things together. How has this, has this formed lifelong friendships for you? Do you think in the talent organization?
Yeah, I can say I've created so many lifelong friendships. Especially, again, going back to how long I've been in this, in Talons. My big has actually graduated, and a lot of my littles also. So it's they're no longer kind of involved with the day-to-day Talons things that I'm still doing. But we're not growing apart and we still do stuff outside of Talons. And so yeah, it's nice to know that you have those lifelong friends.
Right.
Yeah, my friends actually, both of them, one of them is in her senior year and the other one already graduated. So just being able to, people that I've met like my freshman year and like now in my third year, like they're graduated, they're like no longer really involved in Talons, but we still have like such a bond. We still like get lunch every now and then, and it's just created such a friendship that it's like I know it's gonna last. And again, like even having them to be there to like encourage me even while like I'm still going through this and they've already like done this and graduated through the process, like they're still there like to encourage me and to be there for me as well.
Right. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, all I was gonna say was some of us, our friendships are so close that we choose to live together. Like,
wow.
all three of my roommates are Talons as
Oh,
well.
that's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So for those listening that are thinking about coming to UNT or are coming to UNT and not sure what they want to do, what would you say to somebody that's thinking of, what they want to do outside of class, like how they want to get involved? Why should they join the Talons? Like what's so great about it from your perspective?
For me, again, it's really just the friendships. I feel like without the bonds that I've made, like I would not choose to be in Talons. I was one of those people that like I was kind of like curious about it, but once I saw like the commitment and all, like it was just so like it was really overwhelming to me at first, and I was like I don't think I want to do this. And Camden was actually one of the people that he like told me, he was like, no, like let me guide you, like let me lead you. Even though he wasn't my big, like he was still there for me, and he was like, hey, like let's do this together, like you have a support group here to walk through this process with you. So again, it was just really encouraging to have people like, oh wow, like these people actually like care about me, like they want me to be here, they want me to be involved. So just again building those connections has really put a lasting impact on my life. Like even in like 20 years, like if Camden's not around, like if we're not friends or something, if like something were to happen, like he still left like that lasting impact in my life.
Yeah.
And I like will be able to tell my kids like, yep, like I was in college once and I met like these people that were able to be there for me, and it's just so amazing to have that. And to really like even with Talons, like there's so many people that go through the org. Like there's people from graphic designers to engineers, like to psychology majors, like all of us, we're all so different, we're all studying different things, yet we're in this org together, we're doing the same thing, like, and it's all for fun. Like we're all doing this together for enjoyment in college. Like we all want to have something to do and like feel like we also left our lasting impact on the university.
Right. That's great. Anybody else want to comment on that?
I was gonna say like the opportunities that Talons can provide, like how many other schools have like a 1931 car that you can ride on?
Yeah.
Like, other people have
Honk the
horses,
horn.
what are horses? But like there's like how many other schools where you get to build like a really huge bonfire? Like Talons offers so many opportunities that you can say like in 10, 15 years and be like, oh yeah, I did this in college.
Yeah, and I'm sure for the those people that are transitioning from high school to college is finding that sense of belonging. So it's not finding your people almost. So it's, that would be a great experience for them to join Talons. It's great. Talk to me a little bit about, we're still on the subject of, personal experience. So you talked about like project management and planning, and that can teach you so much that you can apply towards other things. So professionally and like in your studies and as you looked on to your career, what is being in the Talons and maybe in your executive positions kind of taught you? What kind of skills have you learned that you can carry on to different things and into your career as you graduate?
Definitely with this position, it's all about time management. We kind of have, Camden and I, we have deadlines to meet. We have forms that we need filled out by a certain time. We just have a lot of urgent things that need to be done by a certain time in order for Bonfire to actually happen. Right. So I would say that's been like the biggest thing that I've got out of this. I thought I was good at time management before, but this definitely taught me that I can learn more.
Right.
So I feel like that can be applied to really anything. That can be applied to school. That can be applied to a career. It's definitely a good skill to have, definitely a good skill to learn and upkeep. I would also say communication's been a pretty big thing. There is so many different points of contact that Camden and I have had to make and reach out to. It's important for myself and Camden to constantly keep in touch, kind of check base, see who's done what still needs to get done. And then that also goes back to the exec board as well. Like we need to, constantly keep that communication. That way everybody's on the same page.
Right.
Same with T-Fry as well. We've been keeping in touch with T-Fry.
Yeah.
Keeping up with donors has been a pretty big thing too. We don't want them to forget about us and vice versa.
Yeah, definitely. And when you talk about like networking too, like, being able to build those relationships and keep them healthy while so in case you need them for whatever.
Right. For sure. Those are the two big main ones that I can think of. Camden, I don't know if you want to add on to
Yeah,
if I missed anything.
something that really helped me was like talking to a large group of people, because Talons, they offer being on committees and being committee heads. That kind of, you're in charge, you're in that leadership position, being in charge of telling a group of people kind of how, a team, this is how we're going to do it, this is, the game plan and all that kind of stuff. So definitely talking in front of large groups, like at exec meetings, it's gotten to a point where, there's 70 plus members, in those meeting rooms, and you have to go up to the front and kind of give your updates, like, game day or bonfire's coming up, this is what we need, and then make sure everybody does, kind of fills out the forms, and being on exec, talking with all the associates and new people, it grew that part of me, and I feel like that I can apply that in my future jobs and in working with teams and, talking to large groups and explaining kind of my point across in a way without, stumbling on my words.
Right. Motivational, like,
Yep.
getting people to take action.
Yep.
That's great. Public speaking, of course,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yes.
I feel like along with like the communication and just like talking to people, it's really important to have like a trust. And so especially like we're all going through so much stress like during this time.
Yeah.
And it's just so important to have like that stress management and being able to be like, okay, like I can trust this person to do this assignment and do this, like what I've entrusted them to do.
Yeah.
Like I know last year, like even with like the hiccups that we had, like there was a bit of like structural issues with the bonfire, and everybody was worried. We were all like, what's gonna happen? Like, are we gonna be able to do this? Like, what's going on? But being able to have that trust in each other and being like, okay, like no, like we are gonna like fix like the structure, like we're gonna be able to do it right.
Yeah.
And again, just like stress management, like being able to be like, okay, like I'm not gonna freak out, at least like not in front of everybody, but like I am gonna be able to be like, okay, like I have assigned you to this position, you're gonna do it, and I trust that you're gonna do it and you're gonna do it well, so I don't have to worry. Like you got it, like you've got it figured out. So it's really just that trust with each other and being able to like know that we're going to do a good job for the university and for each other.
Right. That's great, because in a lot of group projects, there's sometimes somebody that you can't trust to do what their part is. So that's great that you have that. All right. So just, looking ahead, so this year's bonfire, obviously it's always exciting. So what do you hope that the students and alumni take away from this year's bonfire? Like what could be special about it? I know they're, pretty consistent, but is there anything that you'd like them to take away from this bonfire?
I would like to one thing I want them to take away is like the largest handmade bonfire in the state of Texas. So it's like that's the one thing I want everybody to know, not only UNT students but obviously alumni, and I want the Denton community to be just as involved, because it is a free event, and you can just walk over that pedestrian bridge and join the whole UNT event and watch that bonfire, because it's a part of Denton that is huge, and it's it's not only UNT based, and yeah, that's kind of one thing I want them to.
Yeah, because there's a concert and
Yeah.
there's music. There's I think the Green Brigade is
Yeah.
there. We've got some food, so it's a whole thing. It's real
Yep.
fun. Yeah, that's great. If you had to describe the bonfire in 3 words, and I might know what yours is already, 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
Big, hot, and I get like orange, I guess. I don't know, like every time I look at the bumper, that like,
It
that's what I
is
see.
a lot of orange. You're right. How about you?
Largest handmade bonfire.
I knew it.
It's a pretty good answer.
Yeah.
Chaotic, for sure.
Mhm.
Friendship. I was gonna say stressful, but I mean that kind of falls under chaotic.
Right. Exactly.
I'll probably say, again, large, but also I feel like community and just structure. I mean, I feel like with structure, I could go on.
There's a lot of meaning to
Yeah,
that,
there's
too,
just a lot of
because,
meaning to
yeah,
that.
definitely. So, traditions typically don't evolve. They kind of stay the same at the, definition of a tradition. But how do you see this maybe looking ahead, like, the next 4, 10, 15 years? Like, what do you want to see it grow into maybe, or things that you might want to see happen to the bonfire?
I don't know, and that's kind of the beauty of it. It kind of changes every year.
Yeah.
Each head adds their own, creative spin on it, and I feel like essentially it's gonna be the bonfire. There's no
Yeah.
changing that.
Yeah.
But each year, the head kind of adds something unique to it. Something that might not have been thought of before. And I feel like that, like I said, that's the beauty of it. It's evolving. It changes with time.
Right.
It kind of adapts to the needs of the org, the needs of the people. I feel as though as long as it doesn't lose its deeper meaning. I'd like to see, you know, how different it would be, you know, 5-10 years from now. You know, I can be like, oh, look, they added this looks way better, or, you know, they made some changes and now it runs, you know, more efficiently than it did when Camden and I were heads.
Right.
So I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's great. And something that I thought about too, you mentioned like, you know, people putting their creative spin on it or adding things to it. So going back to the build, like I know that there's signs placed on there. So can you tell me a little bit about that, like how that works? Are they from different community organizations, or how do you get that going and put that up there?
Yeah, we hand paint signs for all of our donors.
Oh, okay,
So
great.
that's all those logos and everything.
Right.
So we have signs for all the pallet donors. UNT orgs, other orgs can actually donate like dinner or drinks or snacks, and they can also get a sign on the bonfire as well.
And you all are painting that in the towns. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Okay. As we wrap up, like you said, in community members, like I have 2 little girls, and it is so much fun. They love it. It's just, they look forward to it every year. They even start talking about it. They're like, isn't it a bonfire coming? I'm like, yeah. So that's really cool. So you are reaching, you know, community, and hopefully you can tell the people that are like, what is that big fire?
Yes.
I always think that's hilarious. Sorry. Well, I thank you all for your time. Good luck. I know things are ramping up, and it's going to get started soon. It'll be here before we know it. And I'm really excited to see what y'all do this year. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
That was a great interview, Christiana. Like, what are horses might be the greatest quote in the history of this podcast.
Right? Who wants to ride a horse when you can be driving the Mean Green Machine with the Talons? I always love getting to talk to students because they have so much energy and excitement, but the Talons are on a whole other level.
For sure. Thanks for bringing us that awesome interview, Christiana. And Alicia, I can't believe this is your last time on the podcast. You'll always be the OG co-host.
Aw, thank you, Scoodle. Getting to work on the pod has been so much fun, but I can't leave without reminding the listeners one last time that they can let us know what they think of the podcast by emailing us at podcast@unt.edu or calling 940-565-4341.
You can also help us grow by telling a friend about the show, sharing it on social media, or leaving us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen. Until next time, we hope you have a happy Friday, North Texas.
And go Mean Green!
Happy Friday, North Texas is a production of the University of North Texas. Today's show was produced and edited by Scott Brown with original reporting by Christiana Dyack. For more information, visit unt.edu/podcasts.